My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. We explore for a moment, for the moments we have here together, being you. Can we just explore that space? Because it's been like in my world so dynamically, especially like I would say the last 6 months. And it's just like building and building and building this acknowledgement of when I'm being me, when I'm not being me, when I see others being them, when I see others like playing the role. Have you seen that? Like sometimes I'll have moments where I'm like it seems like they're reading from a script. Like, are we in the Truman Show? Are we in the Truman Show? If you haven't seen the Truman Show, you should watch the Truman Show. In fact, I keep saying I need to rewatch it, but maybe I'm terrified that it's just too real. The Truman Show is this movie where the character essentially like everything is like this scripted pretense, and his whole life, like all the friends and all the people in his life are characters. They're actors. And I think a lot of us get into that acting role, whether it's like, oh, I'm being the parent right now, or I'm going to be the wife right now, or I'm going to be the friend right now. We have all these different roles we give ourselves or that others give us. You may have been given roles even like as a child that you didn't cognitively know. They were like energetic roles you agreed to, and now you're playing them out in some place in your life. So if you remember when I first started doing videos for my business, it was so strange because I could see how others were doing it, thinking that this is the way I should do it. Yet it's not quite congruent for me to do it their way. So I'll try and find my way within their way. Like, have you ever done that? I'll try and find my way, but within their way. And is that actually truly being you? Do you cut off aspects of you to be that, to show up that way? I know I have. And so much energy. So much energy on this topic. Because what is it to be you? And uniquely you. Like uniquely. I even I'll still find things that I'm doing and I'm like, oh my God. I like that isn't even me. That was something that my mom did when I was a little girl, or that was something that, and it's not negative. It doesn't mean like that we don't want to be that because it's bad or negative. It's just, if it's not you, as wonderful as it is, if it's not you, then you're not being you, which actually cuts off a lot of your access to what's possible for you. Yeah. So when you show up like a job interview, for example, if you're not being you in the job interview, then is everything that's possible for you going to show up there? Side note over here, there's a lot of other stuff to talk about in this area of if you're going to a job interview, you could ask questions like, what energy can I be? You could be this playful manipulation, all this energetic stuff, like wizardry at play, right? But we're not going there right now. We can talk about that later. We're over here with the just showing up and being you. Even you can ask, is there areas in my life where I completely stop being me, or I go into some kind of mimicry, or I am like responding or reacting to someone else in how I show up. Let's take dating. Let's take the dating world. Let's go into that for a minute, because it's so freaking interesting. So I'm pretty good at reading people. I can kind of like, often when people meet me in person, they're like, I feel so uncomfortable around you because I feel like you can like see into my soul. And I'm like, I can. But I can read people, even if we're not in person. I can read people's energy. I can sometimes pull the thoughts out of their head. I can get a sense of like how they require me to show up, or how they're expecting me to show up, what they're impelling at me, how they want me to show up. And so in that capacity to read people, I have often like become what they wanted rather than just showing up as me. Like even like, you know, like on dating apps, like I'm texting and I'm like, oh, if I said this, they would be very impressed by that, or they would blah, 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 blah. And so I used to play that game, which was, I'm going to be honest, this was kind of fun to see, like, to explore that capacity and to like constantly get the reactions that I sensed I was going to get. It was kind of like practicing that skill. But when I started to actually look for something more real in my life, like something beyond just playing the game, I had to bring something different to the table. And that difference was me. Because if someone was going to choose to engage with me in that kind of, you know, relationship realm, I was committed to them showing up, that for them to be engaging with who I actually am, not the game that I can play. As a kind of teenage girl, something it's almost like when you start a job, like you always want to give like the best of you, or at least I'm like that. Maybe you're not like that. So like for the first 3 months, you work your ass off. Like you you go 1,000%. You're like showing up and you want them to see like the best of what's possible. But that can get twisted, right? Because it's like, okay, so in that relationship, like I want them to see the best, but it wasn't to see the best of me. It was, I want to present myself in the way that I think that they think the best would be, the best option, not the best of me, the best option out there, because they have options, right? People have options. And then once I get them, once they fall for me, well, then I can slowly be me. I know I'm not the only one I know I'm not the only one that's done this. Maybe you've done this. Maybe you're still doing this. Or maybe you know someone that does this all the time and you're having a chuckle. So that was kind of this thing that I had bought, was what you do, you know, it's like the part of the dance of seduction. But I made this commitment to myself a couple years ago, I guess, and to be me in everything, to be me in my business, to be me in my contract work, to be me in relationship, to be me in parenting, to be me. And it's been within that commitment, it's been interesting to come up to these awarenesses of, oh, wow, I'm not being me here. Like I just stepped into playing that role. And the more I become aware of it for me, the more I see when others are doing it. And it's so interesting. Even the energy shifts, the words that come out of their mouth. It's like they're reading lines from a script. How often are you reading lines from a script? the script that you memorized, that you perfected for someone else. Maybe it's when you go home, you're with your family and you're like, okay, this is who they need me to be. So I'm going to be this. You can be that. You can do that. If that creates ease for you, I'm not saying don't do it. But would it create more for you to be aware that you're pretending than to actually buy that that's who you are? And in some cases, would it actually create more for you to just show up and be you? Like what have we made more valuable than being? What have we made more valuable than being us? Because this world doesn't even acknowledge being as valuable. Not really. But if we start, then we can actually create a new world with this. A whole new world of possibilities with this. There is a book. I'm going to put a link in this description. It's Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane here. And it is incredible. It's an incredible book. And you can read it multiple times, which I have, and it's always changing something. And the beauty of it is of actually acknowledging that being you, whatever that looks like in every moment, because it's not this solid thing, but being you actually changes the world. And I always wanted to change the world. I was going to do it through recycling. I was going to save the trees. I was going to do all these things. I just wanted to save the world since I was a teeny tiny little kid. And I didn't know that being me was the element that was going to change the world. When you look at that, then what's more valuable than your being? Nothing. So this is a new, I'm just so grateful for all of you that watch this show and share it with your friends and, support the show and send me comments that you love this podcast, because it creates a lot to hear that. What if we could break open the being you topic and explore that a little bit deeper here together? Because that's the journey I'm on right now. I find out of the people I know, I would say I show up more as being me than most people I know, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I know that there's still degrees of separation to who I be and the uniqueness of me. How about you? Do you have degrees of separation to the uniqueness of you? To the being of you, that truly unique, miraculous being of you? I love the snowflake analogy. There are no two snowflakes the same. And I live in Canada and it snows here and it's so magical. And, especially the first couple snowfalls, I usually end up running outside and I'll lie on the ground and look up, and you see, especially when it's the big fat snow. If you know snow, you know what I'm talking about. And it's floating at you. And I've had this moment, I've acknowledged, I can see a massive sky full of snowflakes, and acknowledge that none of them are the same. That's what's actually true here on Earth. None of us are the same, and we keep looking for sameness, and we keep looking to imitate and compare and mimic others and fit in, and even those that appear to be very, very different are often like creating that as an image of difference rather than them actually being them in the difference that they are. That might be a role that you've taken on, or you know someone that has taken on that role. What roles, what characters are you playing that, maybe you're ready to let go of? Maybe it's okay to be you and to explore what that even is for you. Because when you say be you, it's not like this, oh, okay, yeah, that's super clear. I know that, like, that's just blah, blah, blah. What if it was actually like this beautiful exploration that you could have? What is it to be you in this moment? And what is it to be you in this next moment? What is it to be you listening and receiving from me right now? What is it to be you when you go home tonight? What is it to be you when you wake up in the morning? What is it to be you when you are laughing? What is it to be you when you have the sun touch your face? What is it to be you? And it's this exploration with no real definition, I gotta tell you, because the moment you define who you be, you've gone out of being. That's a little bit deeper conversation I'd love to have with you when we're ready. But the exploration of being you, I still remember clear as day writing in a journal. I was 16. And I was like, I am 16 years old and I am lost. And then the next year I started a new journal and I wrote, I am 17 and I am still lost. Now here I am years later. And I'm not lost. But I never found a definition that I could fit into. And I'm so happy because I know that the adventure of exploring being can only come from being out of definition. But I have a greater sense of my being now than I did at 16, than I did at 17, that I did all the way up until probably, 8 years ago. And that sense of my being grows. It grows all the time in different ways. And I thought it might be fun for us to look at this together. Would you be willing to have a greater sense of who you be, what you be, how you be, the gift of your being, the potency of your being, the possibility of the space of your being? Because it is something breathtaking. It's something to pay attention to. It's something to celebrate. It truly is you, your being. I hope that even just this engagement we've had here on this show has maybe even given you a greater sense of your being, the space of your being. Don't look for the solidity. Don't look for, like me, like the teenager, like, I love those quizzes that were like, they would tell you who you are, right? They would tell you personality traits of you, or like what like style of clothing should you wear, or all those things. It was like I was trying to find the code that would tell me who I am so that I could know like my life purpose. I could know how I'm supposed to show up in the world. I could know like these things about myself that seem so mysterious and so different. It's more about the space of your being and embracing the difference. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for exploring this topic with me here in the Curious Universe. I am grateful for you. Let's explore more being. Let me know if this topic enlivens you, creates some curiosity. I would love to hear some comments below. Would you like more on being? Is that something that you see valuable? And what other topics would you like to explore with me here? Because I am open to anything. I love, the whole universe of possibilities. And until then, I will see you around the world, hopefully, or somewhere. And in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?